What's up, Agency Go fam? So in this video, I wanted to talk about how to value your agency, what the typical multiples are on the agencies that I've been talking to. I've also done a lot of interviews over the last year, last 12 months, and have a pretty good idea over what the multiples are at any given point in time for the agencies that I work with. And so in this video, I wanted to kind of break that down a little bit, what you can expect if you're going to sell your agency. I also just want to say as a disclaimer, you should definitely always build your agency as if you're going to sell. I mean, even if you don't plan on selling it, it'll just help you fully understand business at another level that I think is really beneficial for all the people in the Agency Go community. So hopefully this video helps in determining that, and hopefully you guys get going on just starting to think more as if you were to sell your agency so you can make it even more sellable and better for you, right? So let's dive right into it. So first things first, I recommend that you go to wearebarney.com. I'm not affiliated with this business. Like, I don't have a partnership. Well, actually, I do have a partnership agreement with them, but you don't have to put my name. I don't really care. I signed that like a while back. The reason I wanted to bring them up is because they're just really awesome. I honestly don't know anybody else who's just focusing on agencies, and maybe they've expanded since then. But it looks like it's a lot of agencies. From what I've been seeing, and there's some in here that I actually know, which is kind of cool. But basically, they send you this newsletter every day, and they have like a new listing pretty much, and they have a really nice chart and everything, but it helps you kind of see the multiples on agencies specifically, which I think is really cool. And again, you don't have to use my referral thing. I just think you guys should be involved with this company. They're really cool, and regardless if you end up going through me or whatever, just hit them up or just sign up for their newsletter. It's really sick. The next thing I was going to say is agency valuations. So I put together this cheat sheet for you, which I'll put in the chat or in the comments below. But basically, there's a couple different ways you can think about agency valuations. First and foremost, after you signed up for Barney, let's just assume that this is a theoretical agency example. Let's assume that this is you, right? Ideally, if you're like the agencies I tend to try to build, you have a 70% gross profit. Let's say your top line revenue is $1 million, 70% gross profit. Let's say 30% EBITDA margin, and then your net profit at the end of the day is like 150 grand on that 1 million, right? Well, to determine your valuation on that, I would pick somewhere between 3 to 5x EBITDA. I would just use 4 EBITDA. And for those who don't know what EBITDA is, it's earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. But I recommend just picking 4. And then let's say you had $300,000 EBITDA, multiply that by 1.2 million. That's going to give you your valuation. Now, this is a big misconception a lot of people have. A lot of people think that this is the actual final number, when in fact it's not. It's not the final number. This is just the final number for the amount that you're paying for the business. But you still typically, if let's say you stay on for 3 months or a year after you actually sell the business, you're still getting a salary. So you're actually having to add back that salary on top of the valuation over the course of 12 months because you're getting paid. And most of the time, if you're selling a business, you're going to get paid well because they want you to perform well and they want to pay you a fair market salary. Because you could always argue and say, yeah, I mean, executives should be getting paid a fair market salary. So it could be anywhere between 100 to 200,000, depending on how much you currently pay yourself. That's an extra, let's say 200 grand if you can negotiate that. And then any performance bonuses on top. Your final valuation is not actually, maybe this is a bit of a misnomer. Let's put final here. It's not final valuation, but the final amount you get paid, let's just say final compensation, pre-tax, right? So pre-tax final compensation, 1.5 million. This is achievable with $1 million in revenue. You can actually sell a business and then make 1.5 million pre-tax, and then taxes come in, and they really are a lot of money. But once you figure this out and you determine your multiple, then there's how you get paid. So from when I talked to Barney and got our valuation, which by the way, I'm pretty transparent. When we did it last time, we were at 1.7 million revenue, so for the year. So we could have probably sold for around like 1.5, and we still can, around 1.5, 1.6 maybe. And then on top of that, we have the actual Because another heuristic you can use is if you have a healthy business that's grown, you can use top line revenue for the most part to estimate your valuation of an agency. It's not like software where your multiples are 10x your actual 12 months revenue, right? It doesn't. And also the other thing is software valuations are forward looking, agency valuations are 12 months trailing revenue typically. With software valuations, it can be based on what they anticipate the revenue is going to be, and then a multiple of that, which is why software is so nuts. But basically, it's 50% cash up front, typically. Seller financing, this could be the SBA, like a Small Business Association. If you go like SBA loan, right, you go check this out. If you've been in business for 5 years or you just have a lot of really good credit, you can get SBA loans. So a lot of people will actually take out SBA loans in order to buy a business. So let's say they buy a business for $1 million loan with a 5% interest rate over 10 years. They're making a $10K payment every month, right? And you can see the schedule that they're paying here. But this is basically how they pay you. You have all the principal, interest, how long it takes to pay everything off, etc. But that's what a lot of people do. They actually pay, let's say 30%. So if I took that, 300,000 of that 1 million, this is the kind of loan they're making. They're paying like $3,000 a month. Typically, this is typically what happens, right? When they make that payment. So they're paying you, but they have to pay out the loan on their side. And then there's the earnout, which is contingent on performance. So let's say you've been growing, let's say you arrive at some sort of fair number of what it means to perform well in your agency. If you can hit those metrics for your agency over the course of 12 months, then you can sell your agency. And that's the earnout schedule, right? So you have these 3 different things. So let's say you get $500,000 up front, then over the course of a year, you get seller financing 30%. This is just paid out to you as well over like, let's say a 3-month period, but it's seller financing, and then you have a 20% earnout. So those are like the main things to consider. Now there's some other really big things with agencies that I find very important. The first one being that the valuations that tend to happen correlate pretty strongly with the market. So it was really hot, before this recession this year. And so we could have actually probably sold for like 4 to 5x EBITDA if we wanted to. But we decided not to because what we're building with Twiz, we feel is a lot bigger than just the marketing agency. So we didn't want to actually sell it at that point. And we got some advice saying that we shouldn't sell just because some people we've talked to that have sold businesses said that they regretted it later on. Because they sold it too soon when the business would actually be worth way more in like 10 years, right? So I just kind of look at it as how much of a return will I get on this versus the S&P 500? And for the last 4.5 years, I've beaten the stock market. So I'd rather just keep trying to beat the stock market, right? Through my agency. That's one thing though, that the valuations are down right now. So if you're going to sell, it's going to be worth less typically, unless you have a really good buyer who believes in you. The other thing is that if you stay on for a longer period of time, like 2 years, 3 years, you can get the earnout and the valuation to be higher typically because you're doing everything still, but you're just getting basically paid up front, right? That's something you can think about. The other thing is that this is a big mind shocker for me. Like this is the big one. A lot of buyers don't actually want fast growth when it comes to an agency. And why is that? Well, just like how SaaS multiples are forward-looking monthly recurring revenue, yearly revenue, etc., agencies are, let's say you go and you grow 100% in a year. That also means you have to go find usually 100% more talent to fulfill on the client work. And all of that is betting that you're going to continue to have that talent a year from now. And it's not going to be volatile, and that you're going to be able to find the talent to fulfill on that supply, right? Or that demand. And if you can't find the talent to fulfill on that demand, you're going to have all these weird operational issues. And so steady, consistent cash flow is actually way better for most agencies. It's why it is an attractive option to buy an agency, but it also means that it's, not the best situation if you're trying to make extreme wealth. Like you ultimately want to get into courses or SaaS because the multiples are a lot better on those than a marketing agencies. The last thing I would say is that capital gains does take a lot out of this. So you might be coming home with like 55% of the total amount at the end of the day after taxes and lawyers and all sorts of stuff, accountants. So you're really taking a huge hit when you do this. And, it's good to pay taxes. I honestly do believe that. I think people have a responsibility to pay a certain amount of taxes. I don't think we should have to pay any taxes, but it also means that if you sell now, you have to pay capital gains. You don't have to pay capital gains if you hold on to it. So just keep holding on to it. You can actually take loans out of your business, something a lot of people don't know. to fund different things in your lifestyle. So like if you have a $10 million business or even a $2 million business, you can take a loan out to then pay down other things, like a personal loan that's backed by your business. At a certain point, you actually can do this. And I'm not an accountant, so don't take my word on this, but this is just something that I haven't done yet, but I actually am going to be exploring down the road. And if you haven't checked out Barney, you can also check out Microacquire. I'm not affiliated with them, but I don't get a commission from this, but I do recommend checking them out. I'm on there. I met some really cool people on this platform. It's really helped me kind of figure out my valuations a little bit. Really solid in general. And I think the last thing I'll show you guys here before we wrap up, let me pull up my FounderPath account, which is another great tool, founderpath.com, if you're trying to get comps and figure out your valuation, all sorts of stuff. But I just wanted to show you guys like what the difference is with software valuations. So let me show you this here. Let me share my screen. So software is just nuts, right? So we have, again, we're getting valued on about about 16K in monthly recurring revenue, and then like 20K, 25K. And this is again just from one Stripe account. I have actually a separate Stripe account where there's more revenue. That's my Twiz Stripe account, but this is just for Agency Go because it pulls it just from one Stripe account, not two. But basically, this is the buyer's valuation is 5x your ARR, right? So I could sell this for 531,000 like right now if I wanted to. And then the venture capital valuation is 1.6. And so you can just see the growth over time. Like it was 46,000. This was in February. And then all the way up to 530. So like 11, 12x increase since the beginning of the year, right? And this should continue increasing. So if we hit like, let's say, I don't know, 30,000, 40,000 MRR, I mean, that's if you hit 42,000, that's $500,000. That's about 2.5, right? Like 2.5 buyer valuation, which, my agency has already hit, 185,000. So if I can get to $42,000 as a software company, then I'm doing pretty well. The business is doing pretty well. It's got a very high valuation. And so that's what I would think about if I were you. I really recommend, just to kind of wrap things up here, like I really recommend that you focus on pivoting into something else if your heart's not in the agency game for the long run, because it's great as an immediate source of cash flow, but long term, it's going to really be disappointing if you're trying to build this big agency and you're doing it because you want to scale to be a large size with a large valuation. If you just love running an agency, which is great, I like it, it's fun, then you can keep doing it. But if you're stressed about it and you're doing it because you want to make millions and millions of dollars, there's better things you could do to make money easier and provide even more value for people, because agencies are hard at the end of the day, and it's hard to deliver for people, and even if you have an agency, it can be difficult. So I would just say keep these things in mind. I hope you guys liked this video. I hope it was valuable for you. I hope you share it with friends who you think are interested in figuring out their valuations currently with their agency. And then again, I'm posting the link below for the agency valuations. Last thing I'll say too, if you guys want all of my lead scripts for my agency that I was able to use to grow to $1.7 million last year in revenue, just ARR, annual recurring revenue, and then this year we're gonna have like over $6 million in total revenue from these lead gen scripts. If you want them, you get them for free by clicking the link below, grow.agencygo.io/leads. And then we also have a training and a webinar of how to use these lead scripts. So feel free to grab them below if you're interested. So thank you so much, Agency Go fam. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please feel free to comment below. And if you have any questions about this video, or if you just want to talk about valuations, I'm happy to engage. All right. So thank you so much.